Kraken, the giant squid legend. Settle in, because this one is different from the others. The others, the disappearances, the hauntings, the figures at the edge of the tree line, those are stories about things that might exist. Things seen once, reported by one person, disputed by the next. This one is about something that does exist. Something that has been confirmed, measured, photographed, and placed in the taxonomy of living things with a Latin name and a classification and an entry in the scientific literature. The monster is real. What we don't know about it is what keeps the lights on. Part 1. The Deep. The ocean covers 71% of the surface of the Earth. Of that vast expanse, approximately 80% has never been mapped, explored, or observed by human beings in any meaningful way. The average depth of the ocean is 12,400 feet. The deepest point, the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench, descends to approximately 36,000 feet, a distance greater than the height of Mount Everest by a considerable margin. We have better maps of the surface of Mars than we do of our own ocean floor. In that darkness, in the zone that oceanographers call the mesopelagic, beginning at approximately 600 feet and descending into the bathypelagic below 3,000 feet, the conditions are specific and extreme. The pressure at 1,000 feet is approximately 30 atmospheres. At 10,000 feet, it exceeds 300. The temperature hovers near freezing. The light, by 600 feet, is entirely gone. What lives in this zone has never seen the sun. What lives in this zone has evolved across millions of years in conditions of cold and pressure and absolute darkness that the human body could not survive for a fraction of a second. And in this zone, something very large has been living for a very long time. Part 2. The Legend. The word Kraken enters the written record in the 18th century, specifically in the work of Erik Pontoppidan, the Bishop of Bergen, whose 1752 Natural History of Norway described a creature of such immensity that sailors mistook it for an island, anchored against it, and discovered their error only when it began to sink beneath them. Pontoppidan was a bishop and a naturalist. He was not, by the standards of his era, an unreliable man. He gathered his accounts from Norwegian fishermen and sailors who had no motive to fabricate and every reason to be accurate about dangers at sea. The descriptions were consistent across sources separated by geography and decade. A creature of enormous circumference, arms or tentacles that could reach the surface from depths that no measurement of the era could plumb. A body that, when it dove, created a whirlpool sufficient to endanger vessels above it. Sailors who had encountered it described it in the specific, practical language of people who needed other sailors to understand what they were warning them about. For 2 centuries, science filed the Kraken alongside the sea serpent and the mermaid. Folklore, sailors' exaggeration, the psychological product of long voyages and dark water and the human mind's tendency to populate the unknown with forms proportional to its fear of it. Then the bodies started washing ashore. Part 3. The Evidence. The first physical evidence that something of extraordinary size existed in the deep ocean came not from a living specimen, but from the wounds of other creatures. Sperm whales, the largest toothed predators on Earth, capable of diving to depths exceeding 7,000 feet, were found with circular scars on their skin, perfectly round, serrated at the edges, ranging from 2 to 5 inches in diameter. The scars were consistent across hundreds of examined specimens across decades of whaling records, with the sucker rings of a cephalopod, a squid of a size that no known species could account for. researchers cutting open sperm whales found, in their stomachs, the beaks of squid. Not small beaks. Beaks the size of a man's fist. Beaks attached to digestive systems that, extrapolating from the known ratio of beak to body in squid anatomy, suggested animals of staggering proportions. In 1925, the crew of a British vessel recovered 2 tentacles from the stomach of a sperm whale. Each tentacle was approximately 40 feet in length. The animal those tentacles had belonged to was never found. In the years that followed, partial specimens of Architeuthis ducks, the giant squid, began to accumulate. Tentacles, mantle sections, beaks, always fragments, always animals that had died and surfaced or been consumed. Never a living specimen, never an intact animal. The deep kept the whole ones. What the fragments indicated was an animal with a mantle, the main body section, of up to 7 feet in length, total length including tentacles of up to 40 feet or more, and eyes of up to 10 inches in diameter, the largest eyes of any living animal on Earth, evolved specifically to gather the absolute minimum of light in an environment where light does not exist. It was real. It had always been real. And it was not even the largest. Part 4. The Colossal. In 1925, the same year those 40-foot tentacles were recovered from the sperm whale's stomach, a paper was published describing a second species, Mesonychoteuthis hamiltoni, the colossal squid, not a variant of the giant squid, a separate animal entirely, larger in mass if not always in length, equipped with rotating hooks on its tentacle clubs rather than simple suckers. Those hooks could swivel, they could grip, they could tear, and the sucker scars found on sperm whale skin only hinted at what that kind of weapon could do. The colossal squid was known for 80 years from fragments alone. In 2007, a New Zealand fishing vessel operating in the Ross Sea near Antarctica hauled up a colossal squid in its net, a living specimen, the first ever captured intact, still alive when it reached the surface. It was approximately 30 feet in length and weighed an estimated 1,000 pounds. It was not fully grown. The crew estimated, based on the ratio of what they had caught to what the fragments in the scientific literature described, that a mature colossal squid could reach significantly larger dimensions. They had no mature specimen to confirm this, because no mature colossal squid has ever been captured or observed. What a mature colossal squid looks like, how large it grows, how it behaves, how it hunts, how it reproduces, where specifically in the deep ocean it lives, is known only by inference, by the wounds on whales, by the beaks in whale stomachs, by the fragments on beaches and the calculations of scientists working backward from the size of hooks and beaks toward the size of the animal that wore them. In 2004, Japanese researchers photographed a living giant squid in the wild for the first time. It took them several years and thousands of hours of deep-sea deployment to obtain a single image. The animal was at a depth of approximately 3,000 feet. In the photograph, it is hauling itself off a baited hook with what the researchers described as remarkable power and aggression. In the photograph, the ocean around it is absolute black. It was the first time a human being had seen one of these animals alive in its own environment. It looked directly at the camera. Part 5. The Dark Water. What is known, with the certainty that the scientific record provides, is this. In the deep ocean, specifically in the mesopelagic and bathypelagic zones, in water that is cold and dark and under pressure that would compress a human body to nothing, There are animals of extraordinary size hunting and being hunted in a darkness so complete that the concept of visibility does not apply. The giant squid and the colossal squid are confirmed. Their existence is not in dispute. Their size is not in dispute. What is in dispute, what remains genuinely unknown, is the upper limit of that size. The largest confirmed giant squid specimen measured approximately 43 feet, and the largest confirmed colossal squid specimen weighed approximately 1,000 pounds. These are the largest. These are the ones that surfaced, or were caught, or were partially recovered. The scientific consensus acknowledges that these are not necessarily the largest that exist. The sperm whale scars do not support 43 feet as the maximum. Some of the circular sucker scars found on sperm whales are significantly larger than any confirmed specimen could have produced. The beaks recovered from whale stomachs occasionally exceed, in size, what the largest confirmed specimens could account for. The calculations that these beaks support, the body size they imply, describe an animal that has not yet been seen. Not confirmed, not proven, but not disproven. The ocean is very large. The deep water is very dark. The pressure that far down destroys equipment, defeats technology, and defeats the human impulse to simply go and look. The giant squid that looked directly at the camera in 2004, 3,000 feet below the surface of the Pacific Ocean, has been down there every moment since. It has never come up. It has no reason to. Its entire life exists in the dark, in the cold, in the pressure, hunting things the size of large fish and being hunted by things the size of school buses. It does not know we are here, or it does not care. And somewhere below it, in the bathypelagic, pelagic, in the water that begins where 3,000 feet ends and descends toward the crushing black of the abyssal zone, something larger than what we have measured is doing what it has always done, in a darkness so complete that the word darkness is insufficient for it. Whether the Kraken of the old sailors' accounts was the giant squid, seen surfacing in conditions of storm and extremity and terror, or whether it was something larger, something we have not yet recovered enough of to name, is a question the ocean has been asked for 300 years. It is not answered. It is under no obligation to. And the next time you are near the sea, standing at its edge, looking out at the surface that covers 80% of what we do not know, it may be worth considering that what is directly below you, at whatever depth the seafloor happens to be, is not empty. It has never been empty. Until next time, sleep well, my friend.